Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to All-Star Break for the 4th season of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to Armory Digital Superspeedway as we're getting set for two separate races for All-Star Break. We've got, right now, the All-Star Open to determine who's going to make the All-Star race. Currently for the All-Star race we have 29 drivers, but we're looking for 5 more to make it a 34 car field. In this field we have a total of 31 cars. So basically this is going to be an all-out free-for-all to determine who will make the All-Star race itself. As you are going to get a quick look at the starting lineup for the All-Star Open, a lot of rookies, but also a lot of established drivers, so we're going to see quite an interesting race here. 16 laps for this race and then 24 for the All-Star race itself. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for All-Star Break here at Armory Digital.
Drivers, start your engines!
Well, all 31 cars for this Open coming out for their one pace lap around here. And yes, this is the updated 2017 edition of Armory Digital Superspeedways. Look at all them packed seats on the back straightaway, but also plenty of packed seats on the front straightaway as well. So we've got a packed house here tonight for this event. But yeah, like I said, for anybody in this field to make the All-Star race, you'd have to finish top 5. For the first time ever, no fan vote, only because of scheduling conflicts with me personally, so I wouldn't have had the time, or I wouldn't have been around to make the fan vote stuff. So, with that being said, top 5 in this race, and you're in the All-Star race. Pace car pulling into pit road, and we are going to be underway here momentarily for what's probably going to be 2 of the most intense races of the season. Because after all, this is a plate track, and a lot of crazy things can happen at this kind of a racetrack. As we are getting set to come to the restart zone to get this baby started. Boogity, 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 let's go racing! Well, Ryan Brommer led the first lap. Trent Dunham fell way in the back, and there's one car I'm noticing that's really lost the pack, and there he is right there, Alex Drayton, who's running a brand new old school Carl Edwards Office Depot paint scheme, but Yeah, he's not going very fast. I don't know if they just didn't get his car tuned up in time, or lost a draft and now he's not really able to recover from it. So that might have taken Alex Drayton out of the hunt unless cautions were to come out. And from seeing what I'm seeing with the racing, we could get a caution sooner rather than later. But Ryan Brommer's still hanging on to that top spot on track. Right now in second is John Cittadino, and then you got Jake Baskinger, Sean Galligan. And then 3 wide for 5th, Dylan Young on the bottom with Devin Becker in the middle and Phil Parker on the outside. And there they go! Multi-car accident here on the backstretch. Jake Rogers was in it. Dougie Shears got big damage. James Richardson was involved. Jackie Tang, I believe all he did was just get spun around. I don't think he got any damage. Same with DJ Curtis. Yes, officially the caution is out. And now they have just taken the caution. So now they're going to slow down and wait for the pace car to get to them. But yeah, the first caution of the night comes out because of a multi-car accident. We're going to find out what caused the caution to come out here in the All-Star break, the All-Star Open at Armory Digital. So right here, basically it's a push gone wrong. Dougie Shears gets into that left rear quarter panel of James Richardson, turns him down into Jackie Tang and DJ Curtis, and then back up the racetrack. And there were actually a couple other cars I didn't notice that were involved. Anthony McCrory and William Brock actually got into it. And then right there is where both Jake Rogers and Dougie Shears get their big damage, and that's when they made contact. And both of those cars erupt in gray and black smoke, so I think they're for sure done for the night. So that was a look at what brought the caution out. Let's take you to the restart here at Armory Digital. So as expected, 2 cars are done for the night, and they include Dougie Shears and Jake Rogers. Down to 29 cars in the field for the Open. Ryan Brommer is still your race leader. Second is John Cittadino. Third is Sean Galligan. Fourth is Phil Parker. Fifth, Devin Becker. Those currently would be the transfer drivers. Everyone else is going to have to put the pedal to the metal for this restart. Sixth is Jake Baskinger. Seventh, Dylan Young. Eighth, Shane Lake. Ninth, Joshua Michaels. 10th, Tim Fiegel. 11th, in a similar paint scheme, is Jonathan Zorline. 12th is Paul Minnick. 13th is Patrick Smith. 14th, Cody Smart. 15th, William Brock. 16th, Brandon Gonzalez. 17th, Trent Dunham. 18th, Scott Roush. 19th, James Shelley. 20th, Cody Lamas. 21st, Sky Commons. 22nd, Ryan George. 23rd, William Duncan. 24th, Alex Ferranti. 25th is DJ Curtis. 26th is James Richardson. 27th, Alex Drayton. 28th, Jackie Tang. And then 29th is Anthony McCrory. Also forgot to mention that this All-Star break is the one time in the season where drivers go retro with their paint schemes for the most part. Ryan Brommer running the old Crown Royal paint scheme from back in the old Roush Fenway days. Dylan Young in that Miller Genuine Draft Rusty Wallace scheme, and a lot of others that I can't name off right now, because we are getting ready to get back to racing, and it will be 9 laps to go when we get to the line. A little more than halfway through the All-Star Open. And Cittadino got a bigger run on that restart, but because he's on the outside, he's going to get swiped as a result, keeping Brommer up at the front, with Galligan now right behind him in second. Meanwhile, it's 3 wide for third between Cittadino, Parker, and Becker as they are going at it, as now cars are trying to get together in a draft formation to try and reel in the top 5. Dylan Young sort of leading the charge right now because he is running in 6th at the moment. 3 wide for 7th with Baskinger, Michaels, and Fiegel. I'm going to look around to the back to see what's going on with these cars, and yeah. Alex Drayton looked like he just got held up by James Richardson, who's a tad off the pace, and Anthony McCrory, who seems to be a tad off the pace. Meanwhile, Duncan and Tang, they both had just lost the draft a little bit, but they're still within reach of the pack, so... But there you have it. But back up at the front, Ryan Brommer, ever since he had taken the lead on lap number 1, nobody's really been making a challenge to him, it seems. But we'll see how all of it will play out here momentarily, because you can start to tell some drivers are starting to work in tandems a little bit to try and formulate a plan to get up to the front. Meanwhile, Dylan Young's deciding, you know what, now's the time to try and work his way up to the lead, as he's now going 3 wide underneath for third, so he can try and get a safer bet to get into that top 5 to make the All-Star race itself here in just a little bit. And now Dylan Young's getting help from good friend Tim Fiegel to try and get him up further, as he's still battling for 5th now with Shane Lake and John Cittadino. But I don't know, it seems like the outside lane does get the bigger run off the corner, but the bottom lane still carries more of the momentum. But let's see if that's going to be the case, although Tim Fiegel leaves Dylan Young hanging and is now going to try and go for a spot for himself. Meanwhile, battle going on for second between fellow Dodges, Devin Becker and Sean Galligan, but Galligan's got his teammate Phil Parker pushing him ahead of the 15. And indeed, that strategy actually worked. Look at the top 5. 4 of them are Dodges, and they're different teammates. You got Lake and Becker, teammates from Michael Waltrip Racing. Parker and Galligan, teammates from Richard Petty Motorsports. The only oddball in that is Ryan Brommer from Roush in the Ford. Less than 5 laps to go here in the All-Star Open. Still plenty of time for some of these drivers right around here to try and formulate a plan to get up to the front. As I'm looking around here in the back, and yeah, McCrory, Drayton, and Richardson are not up to speed, and then Tang and Duncan just lost the draft. It's same with even Alex Ferranti. He's even lost the draft quite a good bit. Meanwhile, look at John Cittadino. He goes up to 4th as he's trying to put himself back up in that top 5. But 4 laps to go here in the Open, and Ryan Brommer has led every single lap so far in the All-Star Open. Nobody's really been making a challenge towards him, at least for now. But that could change, because look at John Cittadino get that big run on the bottom with help from Fiegel, but Fiegel again is going to leave him hanging. Although Fiegel's got no drafting help, stuck on the bottom by himself, but he's making it work, and now Devin Becker's going to fall in line and give him the push. Now Becker's going to leave him hanging, and look at, I believe, that's Jonathan Zorleen, almost 4 wide for 3rd. Zorleen making a huge stride, and now it is 4 wide for the 4th position. But Zorleen, because he didn't have any real drafting help, he ends up losing a ton of ground. 2.5 laps to go here at Armory Digital for the All-Star Open. Ryan Brommer once again has led every single lap so far in this Open to try and keep himself secured for one of those 5 transfer spots into the All-Star race. Currently, those transfer drivers would be Brommer, Cittadino, Fiegel, Galligan, and battle for that last spot between teammates Devin Becker and Shane Lake. 2 laps to go here in the Open, and now cars are starting to try and figure out what they have to do to get by Ryan Brommer. Tim Fiegel trying to utilize the bottom, but he's got no help He's by himself trying to do that move, as Cittadino has Galligan pushing him. A lap and a half to go. People are starting to run out of time, and look at Cittadino go now to the bottom. He might have a challenge for Ryan Brommer for the All-Star Open win. But look at this, 4 wide almost for the third position. Jake Baskinger, where did he come from? We haven't seen him towards the front all day so far. Now he's worked his way into the picture. Shane Lake up here battling for second. White flag is out for these 5. Ryan Brommer led every single lap so far, and he's looking to try and win out the Open to get the for sure spot into the race, the All-Star race. Meanwhile, battle for 4th and 5th is getting really intense now. Fiegel in 4th, Galligan 5th, but you got Devin Becker trying to get up there. Phil Parker trying to figure out a way around. Cittadino, Shane Lake battling for second, but Ryan Brommer, it looks like it's guaranteed in the bag for him. As we're coming through the front straightaway for the final time in the Open, checkered flag waving, Ryan Brommer wins the All-Star Open, John Cittadino second, Shane Lake third, Tim Fiegel fourth, and Sean Galligan in 5th. So they were the 5 transfer drivers that will transfer to the All-Star race itself. But domination by Ryan Brommer, though, led every single lap in this race. But all that will probably change, because when we get to the All-Star race itself in just a few moments, it's going to be even more crazy, more cars, so it's going to be more intense. Well, let's look at the rest of the results. So close to getting in was Devin Becker to join his teammate Shane Lake in the All-Star race. Then Phil Parker in a similar fashion to join up with teammate Sean Galligan. Jake Baskinger finishing out in 8th, Brandon Gonzalez 9th, and then Dylan Young 10th. Rest of the top 20 was Ryan George, Jonathan Zorleen, Joshua Michaels, Sky Commons, Patrick Smith, Scott Roush, Cody Smart, DJ Curtis, Cody Lamas, William Brock, and then the rest of the cars that finished were Paul Minnick, Trent Dunham, James Shelley, Alex Ferranti, William Duncan, Jackie Tang, Anthony McCurry, Alex Drayton, and James Richardson. And then 2 cars were out of the race after the only wreck that happened, Dougie Shears and Jake Rogers. Well, that does it for the All-Star Open, as you will see your final results here in just a moment. And stick around for in this video. The All-Star race itself is coming up next. Welcome back to All-Star Break, and it's now time for the big event, the All-Star race itself here at Armory Digital Superspeedway. So this race is going to be 24 laps, so we're getting 8 additional laps for this race. A bigger field, we got now 34 drivers in this field, and how most of these drivers got in, 5 of them as you saw from the All-Star Open, but everyone else from either winning a race last season or this season to get into the All-Star race itself. As you look at the starting lineup real quick, in the last row it's Dylan Thoreau and Alex Gray. Top 10, we got Retro Racing Enterprise teammates starting on the front row, Kyle Matthews, James Qualls. Row 2, Emmanuel Hartnett, Rafael LeDuc. Row 3, Charles Belding and Dylan Jacobs. Row 4, the All-Star Open winner, Ryan Brommer and Sean Galligan. And then row 5, Richard Johnson and Johnny Gardner. Let's get the command to fire engines for the All-Star race here at Armory Digital Superspeedway.
Drivers, start your engines.
All 34 cars rolling on the racetrack. And once again, like I said, this is the one time in a Marvel Studios Cup Series season where NNSCRA goes retro, with retro paint schemes for the most part. Let's actually go to helicopter view to look at some of them. You got Kyle Matthews in the mellow yellow car, James Qualls in the old Casey Atwood Castrol GTX car, Emmanuel Hartnett in a Tide paint scheme, Ryan Brommer, of course, in the Crown Royal car, Sean Galligan in the Twisted Tea car, Jessica Sheldon in the Coors Motorcraft Chevy, Carson Gum in a Tony Stewart retro, looking around for any others that catch my attention. Benjamin Miles in the Mobile One scheme, Ashland Boyd in the old Indianapolis 2005 car, Zachary Fitzwater in the 2005 Dodge Dealers Dodge, Preston Plord in an all Jeff Gordon tribute machine, and then Dylan Thoreau in the Viagra number 6. And I'm just glad that Rafael LeDuc is not here on commentary with me. Otherwise, he would not shut up about Viagra jokes. Haven't forgotten about that from a couple seasons ago, so there you have it with that. But the pace car's in pit road, so you all know what time it is. It's time to boogity, 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 go All-Star Racing! Well, Dylan Jacobs led the first lap, but he probably won't get to hold on to the lead for long because look at this swarm of cars coming underneath. Charles Belding leading the charge on the bottom, but gets left hanging because Kyle Matthews trying to get back to the front after he didn't get to lead that first lap. He wants to lead a lap just so that way he can say he led a lap in the All-Star race. But man, it's 4-5 wide in several places on the racetrack. Let's go to helicopter view to watch this action. Wait a minute. Are they 7? No, they're 6 wide. I thought they were 7 wide. But 6 wide's madness in itself. But if it was 7 wide, I wouldn't have known what to do with myself at that moment. But yeah, they're making 5 wide work. 6 wide even work as well. But I think I saw one car get up into the wall, and that might have been Richard Johnson. But man, oh man. This is insanity right up here. We gotta go back to helicopter view to look at this. They're almost 6 wide again. They're still just 5 wide for the most part. But they're making it work. They really are making it work. I can't believe that we're seeing this, but this is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Back up here at the front, the leader currently is now at the line. It was Shane Lake who made it in via the All-Star Open Top 5. But right now, we might get a new leader, and that's Chris Dollarton in that gold and Pennzoil paint scheme that he's running for the race. Similar to what Cody Lamas was running during the All-Star Open itself. He falls back in line behind the 10 of Ashland Boyd, who's currently up at the front. 4 wide for second, and Charles Sanford, with help from Emmanuel Hartnett, getting that big boost up to the front of the field. And keep in mind, no points are on the line for this. This is just an all-out free-for-all for bragging rights. Right now, Ashland Boyd has a bit of a gap between himself and everyone else, which typically is not a good thing because those guys behind him can swarm up to him and really go on by. As I'm going back to helicopter view to see what all is happening. It looks like the race has sort of settled down to mostly 3-4 wide action and not that crazy 5-6 wide stuff. I could have swore at one point I thought they were 7 wide, but I was wrong. It was only 6 wide, but... Oh, Fitzwater saved it! How in the world did he save that? He almost got turned by someone, but saves it and is still up here in the pack. Oh my holy crap! Did that really just happen? What in the world has just happened? I can't believe what I just saw. What in the heck just happened? I'm at a loss for words right now. What? Well, James Qualls leads us to the caution, but what in the heck happened there? A lot of cars just got launched out of nowhere. Charles Sanford took probably the wildest ride I have seen all season. There's Dylan Jacobs, who was caught up in this somehow. He's coming into pit road soon. Jessica Sheldon looked like she was in it. Matt Hassan, a lot of cars on pit road. Preston Plord damaged. Shane Lake was in it. Pichu London, Dylan Poteet, Chris Dollarton, Charles Sanford. The Open winner, Ryan Brommer, Rafael LeDuc was in it. Looks like John Cittadino was in it. Same with Dylan Thoreau. But just, I still can't believe what I just saw. But I'm at a loss for words. I really don't know what to describe that as. But we're going to stick with this for the moment because all these drivers are coming into pit road. So we're going to keep our eyes open to see who is going to be able to come out of the pits first. But man, it was so good for so long, then it turned to so bad so quickly. Probably one of the scariest wrecks I think I have ever seen in the history of NR 2003. That was unbelievable what just happened. The big one strikes here in the All-Star race at Armory Digital Superspeedway, but one car in particular, Charles Sanford, like, wow, I hope he's okay. That was a scary, scary ride. But the top 5 when we get back to racing is going to be James Qualls, looks like Sean Galligan, Ashland Boyd, Charles Belding, and then it looks like Joshua Sekuli as well. So that's going to be your top 5 when we get back to racing. But I'm kind of afraid to go take a look at the replay, but we've got to. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the first time in the All-Star race at Armory Digital Superspeedway. Alright, be prepared for this. Watch this. Look at the carnage right here. Unbelievable. Charles Sanford flew up about 50, 60, 70 feet in the air for a wild ride and then coming hard down onto the pavement. And then goes for a few barrel rolls as a result. And then Pichu London actually went for a wild ride himself. But let's actually go back to the beginning of this accident. Let's go follow Chris Dollarton to really get the scoop. And go to helicopter view. And it looks like 5 wide just didn't go right here. And right there, James McLeod comes up into Chris Dollarton, who runs right up into Rafael LeDuc. And if we go back a little bit and watch the 77 of Rafael LeDuc, you'll see why the 03 of Charles Sanford went for that wild ride. Because watch LeDuc. He hits the end of that safer barrier, and because of that, he gets stuck in the wall in the catch fence. And that, and also with the hit from Pichu London into Charles Sanford after, as I'm going to do stop motion for this. Yeah, and that's what completely launched the 03 of Sanford up in the air. And look at all those cars go on, barely on by or underneath the 77. 3 cars did hit him, and they were Ryan Brommer, John Cittadino, and Dylan Jacobs. But man, just let's go back and actually look at the impact Sanford makes. Right on the hood and the roof. That is a hard impact onto the pavement. But look at Pichu London. He's riding on top of Dylan Poteet during this mess. Now let's actually go back and look at when Pichu London gets launched in this. Right there, after the contact with Sanford, and then he gets hit by Shane Lake, and that's what sent him going for a wild ride up on top of 2 cars. And there you see Sanford coming hard back down onto the pavement. And right there, Dylan Jacobs gets more damage when he got into Preston Plord. But man. And I don't know how Carson Gum, how in the world did he get on through this? Let's actually look at this. Watch Carson Gum get through. Manages to avoid pretty much everything. Just little tiny contact with a couple cars, but nothing to really damage his race car. So great job on the part of Carson Gum. And also, let's actually look at Matt McIntyre, because it looked like he managed to have possibly gotten through this mess as well. Watch the 32. Manages to keep it down, slow it down to avoid hitting anybody. Just kind of wings it through and doesn't hit anybody. And so he and Carson Gum are like the 2 MVPs of wreck avoidance now. They avoided one of the wildest wrecks and probably the scariest wreck I have ever seen on this channel. But man, we've got to take quite a few onboards of this. On board with Rafael Leduc. This is going to be hard and scary. Watch this. And just get stuck on top of the wall in the catch fence. On board with Charles Sanford, and this is going to be wild. The camera did not survive. Next up, Carson Gum. We're going to watch him drive on through this crazy accident. Managed to get a woe down, didn't hit anybody, goes on by on the outside. Finally on board with Matt McIntyre as he's going to drive on through this as well. Man, look at the craziness of that. Unbelievable. I don't know how you could have avoided that. That was insanity. Well, after that massive crash, we got a lot of cars out of the race, and they include Alex Gray, Dylan Thoreau, Charles Sanford, Chris Dollarton, Rafael Leduc, Dylan Poteet, Pichu London, Matt Haas, Shane Lake, Preston Plord, Jessica Sheldon, Ryan Brommer, and Dylan Jacobs. So we're down to 21 out of 34 cars on track, and we're going to be coming to 14 laps to go. Still a long ways to go here in the All-Star race. James Qualls is your race leader. Second is Sean Galligan. Third is Ashlyn Boyd. Fourth is Charles Belding. Fifth is Joshua Sekuli. Sixth is Joshua Collard. Seventh, Zachary Fitzwater. Eighth is Jay Jefferson. Ninth, Kyle Matthews. 10th, Tim Fiegel. 11th is Johnny Gardner. 12th is Benjamin Miles. 13th, Seth Cole. 14th, Richard Johnson. 15th, Carson Gum. 16th is Zach Flickinger. 17th, Matt McIntyre. 18th, Dorian Facepuncher. 19th, John Cittadino. 20th, Emmanuel Hartnett. Then 21st is James McLeod. Green flag is back out, and we are back underway for the All-Star race. And Qualls got off to a great jump on that restart, however, leaving too big of a gap for the guys behind him to try and work together to catch him. But I mean, I am still in disbelief of that crash. That was the only crash I can think of that was similar to that. It was a lot tamer compared to this. It was back in the old Walmart Cup Series days, back at Charlotte, and I can't remember if it was an all-star race or the Coke 600. I can't remember which race it was, but if I were to recall which season it was, I want to say it was either season 6 or season 7 of Walmart Cup, where we had a wreck on the backstretch with Chase Oliver and Jessica Sheldon, where Jessica Sheldon hit the inside wall, and the wall she kind of grabbed the wall, and that's what launched Chase Oliver flying up in the air. But it was not nearly as high as Charles Sanford went. Probably about a good 10-15 feet Chase Oliver went in that wreck. But yeah, what happened with Sanford and LeDuc was very similar. However, it was much more brutal and more crazy, because LeDuc hit the end of the safer barrier, and it grabbed him, and then the car grabbed the wall. And then after Sanford hit him, and then also getting hit from Pichu London, was what sent him flying 60, 70 feet in the air. And I'm getting the report in my ear that every driver is okay, including Charles Sanford. So everybody's okay, and we'll be back next week for the Coke 600 at Charlotte, ironically. Just talking about that track. But back to the action at hand. James Qualls and Sean Galligan are kind of working together to kind of pull away from everyone behind them. But yeah, as you can tell, with less cars in the race now, the pack has sort of kind of become a little more spread out. Then again, we just came off of a restart as well. And also they did the pit, so it's going to probably take them a little bit of time to get their tires completely warmed up, so that way they can really try and go for it. Meanwhile, we got a challenge for the lead. Here comes Sean Galligan with the run underneath of James Qualls. That could be the door. That could leave an open door for guys like Sekuli and Collard and everyone else behind them to catch up to the top two to make the race a little more interesting. Looking around to see if there are any stragglers, and we got two of them, Emmanuel Hartnett and John Cittadino. They're slow off the pace now. And then you got Matt McIntyre, who's just barely in the pack and starting to lose the draft a little bit. He's definitely hoping that those guys ahead of him will kind of spread out and he can reel in those guys ahead. But James Qualls somehow manages to keep the lead, even though I thought Galligan was going to take it. But here comes the rest of the field. Joshua Sekuli, actually the points leader. Or no, actually he's top 5 in points. The points leader, James McLeod, right there towards the back of the field. But Sekuli is top 5 in points, and now he's running up here in second currently. As I see Carson Gum, who managed to, by a miracle, to get through that massive wreck, and now he's looking to try and go for the All-Star race win. And when we come to the line, it will be 9 laps to go here in the All-Star race. Still got plenty of time for anybody up here in this pack to really make a challenge at James Qualls. 9 to go now here at Armory Digital. Joshua Sekuli now goes on by Benjamin Miles for position. Now is trying to reel in James Qualls, and he is reeling him in rapidly. Look at how much of the gap he managed to shrink it down to. Now Sekuli is right on the back bumper of James Qualls. Now he's just looking to see if he can get any kind of help to get him forward to go on by Qualls, because if he were to try to go for the move now on the bottom, it wouldn't really work out too well because he wouldn't have anybody helping him. But now Benjamin Miles trying to split that as he's on the bottom, trying to take second away from Sekuli, and he still does have a bumper underneath of it. Can he make it stick? He is trying to. He might be able to pull it off. I don't know. We'll have to see off of turn 2 here. So far he's making it work, but that is actually helping James Qualls pull ahead of everyone again, because they're all racing each other pretty hard right now. But it might become 3 wide. Well, I thought it would be 3 wide for second, but Dorian Facepuncher underneath of his Young Motorsports teammate, Benjamin Miles, to try and go on by. Now Dorian Facepuncher's got to run underneath for second. And he does have help, but with a couple of cars, Kyle Matthews and Johnny Gardner. Now they get kind of split, but Facepuncher still does have that run on the bottom underneath of Sean Galligan for third. Meanwhile, Sekuli now, because of the fact those guys behind him were trying to race him, he has to reel back in the 70 of James Qualls. Meanwhile, Dorian Facepuncher making big strides to try and reel in those two for himself. Meanwhile, Kyle Matthews, who started on the pole for this race, trying to get back up into the picture with help from Carson Gum. But yeah, it looks like everyone on back to about... Zachary Fitzwater is for sure in the hunt. Tim Fiegel's sort of a long shot. And then you got these 4 cars who are starting to lose the pack a little bit. Richard Johnson, Seth Cole, Jay Jefferson, Matt McIntyre. Meanwhile, we got a fight for second. Dorian Facepuncher managed to get a big enough run on Joshua Sekuli. However, he doesn't have a draft partner to help solidify that run, and actually lost some momentum and actually falls back in line behind the 82. Meanwhile, James Qualls has not really been challenged yet ever since that caution. But when we come to the line, it'll be 5 laps to go here at Armory Digital. Excuse me. Yep, less than 5 to go here in the All-Star race. Looking around to keep an eye out on things. Now, I gotta wonder if these leaders are going to catch these two, John Cittadino and Emmanuel Hartnett. Who knows what could happen. But, I don't know. They're coming out of turn 4 now, and now the leaders are coming out of turn 4. Actually, no, they're not off turn 4. No, these guys are on the backstretch. Never mind. Yeah, I don't see them catching the 20 and the 72, so never mind on that. I thought they were coming out of turn 4, but I was wrong. Meanwhile, back up here at the front with less than 4 laps to go, Qualls still hanging on strong. Sekuli still hanging on in second. Meanwhile, we might get a battle, well, I thought we were, between teammates. Dorian Facepuncher and Benjamin Miles for the 3rd spot. Facepuncher going way up high. I don't know what he was thinking there, but that actually helped for Benjamin Miles to go underneath of him and try and take that spot. Meanwhile, Sekuli seems to be right now committed to running behind James Qualls. Maybe he's waiting for the right moment to go for the move, and also for some other drivers to get up to him and then go for the move. But Joshua Collard right now trying to push Benjamin Miles ahead. But Sean Galligan's not making it easy as he's trying to go up there. James McLeod, who I saw about 5 laps ago in the very back of the pack, he's now back up here towards the front of the pack. Now Sekuli's pretty much right on the back bumper of Qualls. Will he go for the move, or is he going to wait for the right moment? But when we come to the line, it'll be 2 laps to go. And Benjamin Miles actually trying to break that top 2 up. And he does have the run on the bottom, but will he be able to stick with that run is the question. But that actually helped for Qualls to pull ahead again. Benjamin Miles still trying to utilize the bottom groove. But again, the outside lane off of turn 2 just gets that bigger run. And Sekuli keeps that spot, and now Miles is under attack for quite a few spots by 3 other cars. But unless these guys behind Sekuli can reel back in Sekuli and kind of formulate a freight train, I don't think anybody's going to be able to go on by James Qualls as the white flag is displayed. White flag is out in the All-Star race. Margin is a little over 1/10 of a second between the top 2. Sekuli, though, is reeling in the 70 again. He's now right on the back bumper. Now he's going to go for the move. Now he pulls out down low. But can he make the run stick? It looks like he's going to be able to make it work. And now the rest of the field's starting to reel in the top 2 once again. Sekuli's still on the bottom, but Qualls hanging on the outside, but now is going to lose that spot. 3 wide for second. Galligan with a big run on the bottom for himself. He's trying to go for it, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Checkered flag waving. Joshua Sekuli wins the All-Star race at Armory Digital Superspeedway. Crazy All-Star break. 2 wrecks, but we had mostly green flag racing, and it was cool. But great last lap pass for Joshua Sekuli to win the All-Star race. Let's look at the rest of the results. Dorian Facepuncher made a huge stride in the end to try and get a good finish, and he gets second. Sean Galligan with a solid performance in the 3rd spot. James Qualls, who dominated the second half, was so close to winning, but Sekuli managed to pull off the winning move on the inside. Benjamin Miles with a solid run in the 5th position. Great run for Kyle Matthews in 6th. The highest finishing rookie of this race was Charles Belding in 7th. Joshua Collard finishing out in 8th. Johnny Gardner with a great run in 9th. And then great top 10 comeback run for Carson Gum after missing that big one, finishes in the top 10. The rest of the top 20 was James McLeod, Zach Flickinger, Zachary Fitzwater, Ashland Boyd, Tim Fiegel, Matt McIntyre, Seth Cole, Jay Jefferson, Richard Johnson, Emmanuel Hartnett, and then John Cittadino. Everyone else is out of the race after that crazy wreck. And they were Alex Gray, Dylan Thoreau, Charles Sanford, Chris Dollarton, Raphael Leduc, Dylan Poteet, Pichu London, Matt Haas, Shane Lake, Preston Plord, Jessica Sheldon, Ryan Brommer, and Dylan Jacobs. But that does it for our coverage here at Armory Digital Superspeedway for All-Star Break. Next week, we return to points racing as we're going to get set for the longest race of the season, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But until then, here are your final results of the All-Star race, and I'll see you at Charlotte. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.